no evidence yet that any information was actually exchanged with the Russians or that anything came of the meeting. Most of the people in the meeting who have said something and said nothing came of it. But we don't know whether Trump knew about the meeting. I find it kind of hard to believe he didn't, considering every major campaign figure was there. But and then they just keep lying. And this is the part that's a problem. Are they lying because they just think they can get away with it and they're stupid, or are they lying because they're actually being meticulous about their lies? Now, I tend to think the former because this isn't a professional administration. I think Trump, fibs a lot. He says things that are, on stupid things. Yeah. Right? He says things like, the leader of the Boy Scouts called me and told me that he loved my speeches.
Best speech ever.
And then the leader of the Boy Scouts like, what? So is that a calculated lie to hide something, or is it just that Trump lies by nature and so he does it a lot?
Well, I think he's just so used to putting that spin on things, that publicity spin.
Right.
And the thing that he said about this was that this is what happens in politics. You get dirt about your enemy and people exchange information. It's just what happens. It's just you're seeing it now. So a lot of people are like, yeah, well, that makes sense.
Right. And this is something that, again, I think that we're shaped by Hollywood a little bit. Politics is dirty, but some of this stuff is not usual. Right? It's actually not particularly usual to meet with a government that is really not friendly to the United States to receive information about your political opponents. But if you've watched House of Cards, you think, well, that's like 2 steps down from throwing somebody under a subway. So
do you
what's
watch
the big
House
deal?
Cards?
I don't, because I work in politics, and when I go home at night, the last thing I want to do is watch entertainment about politics. I watch Game of Thrones. That's as political as it gets.
Yeah, House of Cards is a great show, but if it's half right, like I always wonder. The thing that gets me is when people suicide themselves that are on their way to trial. I'm like, okay, I don't want to be that fucking guy. I don't want to be that tinfoil hat guy. But how many people are going to suicide themselves? I mean, for sure, someone's been murdered. Somewhere along the line, someone knew something, some powerful people got to them, and they murder him. Like, it's going to happen. It has happened. It must have happened.
I mean, I think it happens a lot in Russia. I don't think that I don't believe what Trump said. And again, I think this is what Trump has a skewed vision of what politics is, and because he thinks that the outer limit of politics is Russia, he thinks anything inside that limit is now okay.
But do you think it's ever happened in the United States or just in Russia?
Like political assassinations?
Yes.
I can't name a specific example of where it has. I think that's...
Are you open to the possibility?
I'm open to... if someone shows me
Lyndon
evidence...
Johnson. You think Lyndon Johnson could whack somebody?
I don't think Lyndon Johnson whacked anybody.
What about Kennedy?
I don't think that Kennedy whacked anybody.
What about Hillary?
I don't think Hillary whacked anybody.
If I had my last $1,000, I'd be super tempted to bet on black. I'd be super tempted to go, you know what? I think she went dark. I think she's whacked a few people. Let's see what we got here. I want to see Whitewater. I'd want to see Vince Foster. I want to see that Enron guy who shot himself in the head twice. There's a few. If I could, man, I think it's happened. I just don't know who.
I'm sure it's happened
when.
at some point, but again, if I don't know who and when, I'm hesitant to. I think that we tend to think things are regular when they're. That'd be really irregular.
Yes,
right? So we tend to think that this stuff is happening like every day, and that's why you see Trump on TV saying, "Well, Putin, like America hasn't killed people," and it's like, well, no, not quite like Putin. I mean, like Putin legitimately murders his journalistic enemies.
Yes.
Like I haven't seen you trying to double tap Jake Tapper. So I'm pretty sure no, it's not a regular thing around here. Even Obama wasn't trying to kill Chris Wallace.
Right, but maybe I don't know. Well, Putin is obviously the extreme example, right? Well, obviously the extreme example is North Korea, but Putin is in that range of like a totally feared, essentially a dictator who's.
There are a bunch of them, right? I mean, Erdogan in Turkey.
Sure.
Maduro.
Assad.
Assad. Maduro now in Venezuela, who's literally jailing his political opponents.
Venezuela is now like a complete dictatorship, and this is very recently.
Right, but America is would you believe it if I said leaders in France had people regularly whacked? I'd find it a little bit hard to believe. I don't think we're significantly worse than France in the whacking people in politics business.
I don't think regularly, but I think every now and then the move is.
I'm open to the possibility, but I'd have to see the evidence. The lawyer in me.
Well, I don't think we're a house of cards. I don't think it gets that ridiculous. But
the point I'm making is, if you think that's a regular thing, if you think that it's not like a rare thing, and maybe once in a while, once every 20 years somebody gets whacked quietly for political reason, if you think that's like a regular thing, then fibbing is like way inside the line.
Right.
Like you hiding documents is really, or you like writing your son's stupid statement about a stupid email exchange and then fibbing about it publicly, like that's really inside the line. So again, I don't think that. I think some of this. I have a rule about the Trump administration. I never attribute to malevolence what I can attribute to stupidity, because I think that that's more likely to be the case. It's like the Occam's razor of the Trump administration.
I think that is a smart way to think, but I think sometimes malevolence is real.
No, I agree.
Remember the Gary Condit, Chandra Levy thing?
Yeah, that was weird.
That was a weird one.
Yeah,
where, for people who don't know the story, this guy was having an affair, the girl turned up dead, and then 9/11 happened right away afterwards, so people kind of forgot about it. But they found her body in the park, and everybody was like, Jesus Christ. Like, this is a woman that was about to testify that she was having an affair with this guy, and that one was a good one.
Yeah,
in terms, not a good one, obviously, a terrible one.
So I think so let me say this. I think that, if there's murder in politics, it'll probably tend to fall more into the personal than the political.
Yeah.
It'll probably fall less in terms of, like, I have a political vendetta against this guy and I'm going to kill him. We haven't really done much of that since Alexander Hamilton and Burr. But there are, listen, Teddy Kennedy left a woman in the back of his car and a body of water, so.
Right. Drunk driving, right? That was the thing with him. He just didn't want to be responsible for something horrible that he did.
Right.
Similar to Dick Cheney not meeting with the police for something like 18 hours after he shot his friend in the face.
Yeah, I don't think he was trying to assassinate his friend.
No, he was just drunk hunting.
And that's
Yeah,
Maybe. Yeah,
I would imagine.
I can't rule that one out. So.
Yeah, but it's the same.
Honestly, I'll find Teddy Kennedy a little more suspicious. You leave the woman in the back of the car, swim out of the car, go to a house, sleep, come back the next day, and my God, she's dead.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it turns out when you leave somebody underwater for 12 hours, they tend to do that.
Yeah.
It's weird how that works.
Well, unless he was so drunk that he didn't know what he was doing, which can happen. You can get blackout drunk where you wake up and you go, wait a minute, did I crash my car?
So I don't drink that heavily. Is that really a thing? Like you climb out the window of the car, swim out to the river bank, go to somebody's house, come back like a day later. They're like, oh, shit, there was a girl in the back seat.
I've never had it happen, but I have had I've had what I would call slideshow nights. You know, where I get hammered and then like I wake up in the morning with a pounding headache and I just have these flashes in my head like, who was that person? Like, where was I? Where were we? Oh yeah, there was that. And then you eat breakfast with your friends. They go, you remember that thing? And you go, oh yeah, Jesus. So it's not necessarily blackout like I did something horrible and I completely forgot about it, but I forgot a lot of it.
Okay.
But some people, I have a friend and he goes gerbil eyes. There's a switch that goes off 3 or 4 shots in, and he's gone, and he's not there anymore. And you almost got to like nerf the world around him and protect him and get him in his bed. And he wakes up in the morning, he doesn't know a thing. Doesn't know a thing about what happened, and it's really bizarre. It's a legitimate.
So you guys are nice to him, or you do
blackout.
terrible things to him while he's
No,
blacked
we're
out?
nice to him, but your instinct is to get the fuck away from him and just let horrible things happen. But the stories are legendary. But he gets shark eyes. He gets these black, like soulless eyes where he's gone, and you go, oh no, he's gone. Yeah, it's weird. But I wonder what that is. I feel like that's a neurological issue. I feel like if alcohol does that to you, there's probably like some switches that aren't connected right in the head.
I imagine there's something going on, yeah.
Yeah. So Teddy Kennedy, who knows? I mean, he was obviously a raging alcoholic, and that could have been a part of the problem. I mean, he literally might have gone home not even knowing that he killed somebody.
I mean, that would have to be it's his only defense, so
Yeah.
you'd imagine.
Well, that was one of the things that they said that they would have used as a defense against with OJ. That OJ with the CTE, that he might not have even known what he was doing, that he might have flown into some blackout rage.
That would be an amazing defense. Like I would like to hear that. Like everyone who has CTE now gets to like run around chopping up their ex-wife and randos who end up at their house. Like that's a hell of a defense. Sort of like the Twinkie defense, right?
Yeah, well, the Twinkie defense was hilarious. But there are people that think that, you know, you're going to see more and more things like that out of former NFL players with massive brain trauma issues.
It's actually a serious legal question. You know, like there's always been the question of.
This was a couple weeks ago. This kid doesn't even know he did this.
Oh, God.
Oh, wow.
Former NFL player Devon Hall accused of killing his mother. He doesn't remember.
Yeah, he's like in jail right now. Doesn't recall.
Oh. Yeah, well, that's real.
Yeah, I don't find that wildly implausible.
No.
I mean, the fact is that we have an insanity defense, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
and what it means is you don't know right from wrong. Well, if you don't know what you're doing, like this is something they teach in law school. What if you're sleepwalking and you kill somebody? If there's no motive. So it's difficult to, like, you need mental treatment, but should you be in jail for that? Not really. I mean, they've had cases where people are, like, sleepwalking and they think that, and they're dreaming at the same time, so they think that their wife is actually, like, this defense has been used, where they think their wife is some sort of monster in the room, so they, like, club her to death, and then they wake up and they're like, oh, that was my wife. It's a really creative defense, or it's true. I mean, one of the two, so.
Well, if we know that people can go crazy, and we know that brain trauma is a real issue, the two of them together, I mean, there's something about getting knocked around in the head